Guys, it's a special edition of the Dungeon Brawlers podcast dedicated to Payday. Alright, Ramblers, let's get rambling.
Welcome to this special edition of Dungeon Brawlers, where we are celebrating the 1-year anniversary of Payday 2 and just Payday as a whole. This idea was brought to us by our lovely Ian, and he is one of the usual suspects on this Dungeon Brawlers podcast. How you doing, Ian?
I'm doing fantastic.
And of course, we have Patrick. How you doing?
Not bad.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
I'm also glad to hear that.
I'm glad we've established our well-being and our jovialness in each other's well-being.
So we are all okay.
We're all doing fine.
But this whole episode is going to be about the franchise of Payday, not just Payday 2, but Payday the Heist as well. And we're going to talk about our experiences with Payday, our favorite missions. We can talk about just everything Payday is here right now. And of course, I'm going to go to my expert when it comes to Payday.
We even have Simon Vickland here with us. What?
We didn't.
You didn't get him?
No, he didn't. He didn't answer. He didn't answer the emails.
Did we get Almir at least? Bo? Anybody?
No, none of them answered us.
Nobody told me about this. This is DashCon.
I barely showed up myself.
I'm not even here.
But we're going to go to the resident expert of Payday with over 900 hours played. Ian, favorite experiences with Payday, man?
First off, please do not publicize the fact that I have over 900 hours.
Why not? You should. A badge of honor.
It's you know what?
A badge
Honestly,
of honor.
I love the game, obviously. But I realized we did some math with a couple of guys I was running missions with the other night, and we realized that if we take the last year of my life, 30 days have been spent playing Payday. I'm pretty sure it doubles. I'm pretty sure it counts as one of my bodily functions at this point. Eat, sleep, Payday.
It's a fantastic game, though. It has, it's the FPS, but there's so many more elements to it, and we've talked about it on other podcasts, and that's why we really had to make a podcast specifically dedicated to this game.
And celebrate it, absolutely. I remember, actually, the weirdest thing is that my introduction to the Payday franchise was actually through one of our good friends, Matt, who explained to me the whole concept of a cops and robbers game. And one of the things I said is, so basically you go in and you do these heists and you just kind of go into wave mode and, fight off law enforcers and stuff while you're trying to do it. I'm like, isn't that the exact opposite of what a heist should be? You want to do that perfect heist where you get in and get out. But as Pat has pointed out time and time again, the best part of every heist movie is when the shit hits the fan and there's the inevitable shootout.
It is.
That is true. There's no denying the fact that that's the pinnacle of all of those movies.
Look, I'm sure that sneaking in and stealing things is more ideal, but the fact is that it's more awesome that way. Come on.
It's way more fun. And I like the fact the original Payday, the Heist, which came out a few years ago back in 2011.
Yes.
October, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, because that's the anniversary of the entire franchise, because that's what Crime Fest is leading up to on October 18th.
Yeah, October 18th, yes.
I still remember playing First World Bank the first time. One of the heists in the first game is you rob this absolutely enormous, sort of neoclassical design bank, and it was just, there were so many little moving parts to everything. And I love the fact they use a very AI director kind of design, similar to Left 4 Dead,
right?
Where there's always these moving parts, but at the same time, things can go wrong or things can happen. It dynamically changes the way that the heist works out. And yeah. I still remember going in the first time. It's like you gotta figure out where the manager is. You gotta get the manager down. You gotta get the key card. You gotta get the thermite, because you can't just break into the vault. You gotta burn into the vault.
No, you need tools.
Exactly. Tools of any good heister. But
the thermal drill, go get it.
No, but I remember I was really surprised by Payday 1. I remember seeing it being advertised on Steam. That's the first time I saw it. I saw the art, and the first thing I thought was, what is this, just a rip-off of the beginning of The Dark Knight? And I kind of dismissed it. Like, that was it. Like, oh, clown masks rob a bank. I bet you have to shoot each other, too. And no, it was way better than that.
Yeah. I think the one strength that the first game had as well, which I give Overkill, the developer, a lot of credit for, is the fact that each of those heists, despite the fact that they're all a self-contained story, the narrative force in all of those heists was very, very strong.
Yes.
And there were definitely there was definitely a sense of urgency and a ton of like, oh shit, we gotta get this done, guys. Like we gotta do this and get out of here. It's great.
Yeah, I have very little experience with the original Payday. I remember running. I can't remember what the name of the mission was. It's the one where you're the pool guys.
Oh, Counterfeit.
Counterfeit. Yes. And it was so much fun. The people I was running with were about as good as I was. Yeah. Which was little to no experience whatsoever. So it did not end well.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun with, originally, when I first started playing the game, it was like, I want to try to get in here, get the job done, quiet, let's get out. And that was the way, I think that's everybody's initial, well, other than Pat, I guess, that's everybody's initial reaction.
That's because I play the game right.
But after playing with these guys for a while, I've learned that loud operation is more the way.
It's the only way.
It's the right way.
It's a lot of fun.
Look, there's two ways to do things. There's the stealth way and the right way.
And the right way is so much more fun.
It's so much better.
Now, one of the things I really love about Payday 2, since I have a little bit more experience with Payday 2 than Payday 1, or Payday the Heist, I should say, is, a lot of people have a lot of complaints about the DLC and stuff like that, but the DLC isn't like the normal DLC that you'll get for a game. It adds a lot more to the games that, like, for example, the new Shotgun Pack that just came out did a lot for the game, and that's just kind of where I think it as a strength and a weakness at the same time.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and start with the complaint.
I'm going to be the dark horse.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick things off with a little controversy, but I'm going to bring it back around. We're
going to call Pat Captain Controversy from now on.
Yeah.
He's always talking about controversy.
I'm the nitpicker. But they released these DLCs, and they released a number of them. I think they're like full price. The DLC costs more than the game now.
Yes. Yeah.
But they keep doing it, like one level, a few masks, and like a bunch of guns. And it just feels like they're microtransacting us. I would prefer to get like big content purchases rather than pay $5 for like very little. Kind of
like the way that they handled the Wolfpack DLC.
Right.
With Payday the Heist. It was basically like about a year release into the game. We got like 2 new heists, a bunch of new guns, like a whole new skill tree was introduced and everything. Yeah, it feels more substantial. And I feel like I'm going to take a counterpoint to this argument. For one thing, a lot of the content released for Payday 2, I'd say honestly about half. They do an excellent job keeping the free content and the paid content on a kind of even keel. Yeah. And at the same time,
they
too...
don't split the community, which we've
touched on that before, too. Like, even the paid DLC, if, say, one of your friends buys the transport heists, where you're robbing armored transports like the opening scene of Heat, or, the Big Bank heist, and all these other things, if one person in your group buys those and hosts it, anyone can play for free. Yeah. They don't split the community.
And they've given free stuff for people to get too. So it's not totally thankless.
That's definitely one of my favorite features about the DLC, and I've never seen it in any other games, is the fact that, if you buy Big Bank and I don't have Big Bank, I can still play Big Bank. Yep. Even though I never took the time to purchase it. I just can't run a game on my own.
Exactly. It's very inclusionary in that sense. And the other thing, too, is on top of the whole concept of microtransaction and everything, I know I'm a little bit of probably not the most unbiased person to talk about the DLC.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm going to come back around and not, like, just totally slam Overkill here. But it does bother me a little bit, especially because like for how many they are and like the amount of content in there. I guess I'd be more comfortable if it was a couple dollars cheaper. Aren't I just complaining now?
Are you saying the DLCs are belligerent and numerous?
Well,
yes.
To me, answer me this: the one for the heist. Do you remember how much that was?
That was $10 or $15 on release.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and the base game was $20.
Okay.
Right.
I remember that.
So, like, to me, it never really bothered me to have like the $5 transactions like they do now. I feel like mainly because they're kind of streamlining things instead of making me wait an elongated period of time. Even though
Right.
it is small increments at a time, I'm getting advancements as I go, which keeps me interested longer. Because I can, with any game, you can lose interest pretty quickly,
Yeah.
and I think that's a way to keep people coming back to the game frequently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're very consistent with the DLC releases, and as Frank said earlier, I like the fact that all of the DLCs, there are definitely some that are more useful than others. Like a completionist is going to hate this game.
Right.
Like at least in terms of like the purchasing of DLC, because they're going to feel compelled to buy everything. But honestly, one of the nice things about it is the fact that all of them add something substantial to a certain degree, and you can kind of pick and choose what you want. There's a pack with only sniper rifles. Do you like sniper rifles? Do you want to be the marksman for the group? Buy the sniper pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you the enforcer? Do you want to buy light machine guns? Buy that pack.
I guess that's the thing. Like I feel like the content of each of them is very small, and it's like $5 is a little bit more sizable. Like it suggests a bigger size, but like I don't take a huge issue with it because they do give the free content. And at the end of the day, I do support developers that I like.
Yeah.
So they're not EA, and they're not Activision. They're not in there. They're kind of out on their own. So I don't mind paying some to keep the game going.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
I think at the end of the day, I agree with you on that point. I mean, even if they dropped it $1, if it were $4, I think it would be a little less of an issue if I'm catching you correctly. Is that's kind of what you're getting at? Is when you start to think about it and you start to think about, okay, well, if you put all the DLC together, as you were saying, it's more than the cost of the game at this point. But did it give you as much content as the game did, as it was originally released? And that's the question.
Yeah.
That's kind of the question you have to ask yourself at times. Obviously, I'm being the devil's advocate, giving both sides here, so that people can formulate their own opinions. And obviously,
that's the thing is it all
leave them
comes
in the
together,
comments.
and it's like obviously I really like the game because I keep playing it. So
Yeah.
it really is a nitpick here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But now I have to ask, it doesn't have to be. The one thing I'm going to say is our podcasts are pretty formulaic, and this one I don't want it to feel as formulaic as the other one. So I'm going to ask a question that I feel is a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more loose than what we usually do.
Okay.
When you play Payday, who is the character of choice and why?
Oh, well, we have 4 people who we usually play with. So
Yeah,
we usually pick
we
a
actually
character
do have a good
and stick
crew,
with it.
and the funny thing is, we stuck with our characters from Payday the Heist.
We did,
which was funny because our friend Dar always plays Chains, Matt always plays Dallas, and the weird thing is, somehow I guess through some strange cosmic event, me and Pat both picked. I'm Hoxton,
and I took Wolf,
and Pat is Wolf, and it turns out that Hoxton and Wolf are like best friends in the game.
They're besties, yo.
Exactly, yeah. Best friends for life. They have all the different call outs and everything for each other, which is actually like really unique for those two characters. Yeah. Hox Delicious.
Like the voice
Wolfie.
acting in general made the game very
it added,
attractive.
Especially in the first game, it added
Not
so
just-
much character.
But those call outs that Wolf has, like they're more rare in the second game than the first game.
Yeah.
I would like to see them make them more frequent, like really vary it up.
I'm really hoping, and this is actually something that I want to touch on because it's something that I'm incredibly hyped for with all of the events going on. This is part of the reason why we were spurned to do this. That's not the right word. Why we were motivated to do this podcast. The thesaurus is failing us. But no, part of the reason why we wanted to do this is because of all of these events going on. And actually, one thing that's going on at this exact moment is Crime Fest, which is ending on October 18th. Overkill is doing kind of a stretch goals, a la Kickstarter sort of a thing, where the more members that come into the Payday 2 community group, we get all kinds of free content, be it new guns, new masks. The big one on everyone's list, though, is when they did Payday 2, they actually replaced the original British Hoxton, voiced by Pete Gold, with a new version, which is supposed to be one of the character's younger brothers. They changed it to bring it in line with a web series that they were developing before Payday 2's release. But we have officially hit the milestone necessary for the Hoxton breakout heist, because the story in the canon is old Hoxton wound up going to prison. And we are, Pat, could you look up numbers? Because I think the last time I checked, we were about 15,000 away from actually unlocking old Hox as a playable character.
It's about 10.5 now.
The Crime Fest, this is based on members of the community group on Steam for Payday. Right now, they are 1,189,528.
So, yeah, 10,500 away.
500 away.
Yeah, and that means we'll get the Pete Gold voiced old Hoxton back, which they have been teasing for so long. The Christmas album.
The way it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
Now, one of the things I have to say about this game, I just had to point it out, and it's another thing that I love about it, and you just were talking about the voice acting and stuff like that. The cinematic parts of this game are so good. Like, somebody asked me, and I think I actually referenced this on one of the older Dungeon Brawlers podcasts, but somebody asked me, they're like, what was the best movie you've seen recently? And I'm like, the beginning intro to Payday 2 was the best movie.
Which is actually the dentist trailer.
Yeah,
which
it's
has,
the dentist trailer.
That guy from Breaking Bad. What's his name?
I can't
Gus
remember.
Fring.
Yeah,
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, I didn't remember his actual name. I just know him as Gus.
That was a big get for Overkill, and that was definitely a major, like, as a huge fan of Payday 2, I was so hyped when I saw that trailer, because you get to that point where you're like, you know who it is, and as soon as he pulls the dentist mask off, I was like, oh my god, they actually got him. It's that guy who flies that plane.
Does he fly a plane?
I don't think so. That's Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden.
Wait, Bruce Dickinson's going to be in the game?
Of course.
Yes. Playable character, dude.
He's going to come in with old Hoxton.
You know what? I'm going to make a request. If anybody from Payday and the community, if you're listening, help us make this happen. I want them to add an Eddie mask.
Yes, please.
Oh, yeah,
well,
that would be great.
They have the mummy mask.
They do have the mummy.
I did get that, and I changed my name to Power Slave.
But we need an actual, like, Eddie...
Licensed
Iron
Maiden endorsed.
Iron Maiden Eddie mask.
Oh, that would be absolutely amazing.
One of the best things ever, if possible. Honestly, that would be ridiculous. Let's make this happen.
Let's do that.
We just got to make this happen. Everybody get on it. Let's start talking.
Do it.
Grassroots right now.
Twitter, Facebook, whatever we need to do. MySpace, I don't care.
This campaign is starting on the heels of old Hoxton.
So, with all of this happening, I mean, this event is so cool. What do you for when you're thinking about Crime Fest though, and what eventually is it going to lead to? What do you have any like theories as to what it might be?
The thing is, everything's already pretty laid out right now. Like, the stretch goals are all there, but the one thing at the very bottom of it, and I curse Almir with all my might for this, but it's the last thing. If we hit 1.5 million members, is just labeled secret stuff with one of his trademark winky face emoticons. Because I'll say this, Overkill. The one thing I give them a ton of credit for is they're very active with the community. I don't think I've seen any developer, especially like, for a game of this kind of pedigree that's practically breaking into AAA to a certain degree, their amount of involvement with the community is incredible. And, you see the developers posting, especially Almir, on the forums all the time, with just that stupid little winky face. Because we know something's coming, but they won't spill the beans.
Curse your glorious beard.
We're all trying to grow beards now, and it's just paling.
I'm not trying. I'm just doing it.
Yeah, I know.
I can't grow a beard.
I'm sorry, Frank.
I just it doesn't the way it works for me, and it's hilarious. And I tell stories of this all the time to people, and I'm loving to divulge this to all the people who are listening to our podcast. But I still have the same set of razor blades that I got when I was 18 years old. Same ones.
And this is all you grew?
This is like all this right here is like 4 months of work. This is all I get.
Yeah. I don't know. I got this nice scruff going. This is at least a couple of probably a little bit less than a week, and I look trashy when I try to grow my facial hair out. I feel like if we could even get a little bit more length or a little bit more like fullness, it would look better.
Yeah.
No flash photography, please. Nobody needs to see this.
Please, no flash photography.
The one bit actually I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here because there's two events coinciding at the same time. I believe, are we 4 days now away from the What's Next announcement as well?
5 days.
5 days, okay. I was figuring, I knew it was going to cross over a little bit, and this is the other event that's coinciding with Crime Fest, is this event, the What's Next, which they teased it with a Steam group announcement that just said tomorrow, and then tomorrow came and it just said today, and then it led to a web page with a 35-day countdown.
Those bastards.
So I know all the theories are running wild right now. I, for one, I seriously hope, because I know it's been at least a couple of months since we got the big bank, the last major heist, which was given to us by Gus from Breaking Bad.
Right.
The new hire, the dentist. But I genuinely believe that it has to be something Payday 2 related. And the other big theory going out right now is that Overkill is announcing their new game, which supposedly is simply, I believe, we don't know much about it beyond the fact that the title is Storm, and that supposedly it's supposed to be Payday in the future. Which, actually, Payday in the future sounds awesome.
Yeah, it does.
I want to play as the cops, though. I want to be RoboCop.
Payday of the future.
Today!
I hope it's like a 1950s futurism Payday.
That would be amazing.
Or what if it was like the Batman animated series with like weirdly like techno 40s? Oh
yeah, like that. Yeah. Oh my god, that'd be great. But no, Pat, do you have any theories about the What's Next or the secret stuff? As our second most resident expert.
Don't even ask me. You know what it's going to be? It's going to be that Eddie mask.
No, that's the new mask from Bane. We already heard that on the Crime Fest.
It's going to be the skills overhaul.
I'm seriously hoping for, and we'll give you guys a little bit of background just in case you're here and you don't have a whole lot of exposure to Payday and you're learning about it through us. We'll talk through a little bit about what we're talking about here.
We will guide you.
We will guide you in the ways of rightness, in the ways of loudness. But no, the skill tree overhaul, basically the game uses an RPG-esque system for leveling up and everything. You earn skills and experience as you do jobs. One of the things that Overkill's been teasing for a long time is that we're going to eventually get a new tier. There are 6 of them right now. We're going to get
tier.
The 7th tier. The 7th son.
Of the 7th son.
But,
Eddie mask.
Yes, it all comes back to the Eddie mask.
I'm telling you, that's what it is.
But it's gonna have a level cap increase involved from 100 to 145. A ton of new skill points, which are going to be able to go towards these new toys. And there's all sorts of crazy stuff flying around about what we're going to be able to do and get even more powerful, which is just going to be fantastic.
That's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great. That's going to be great.
All right, we got to stop.
Well, here's the thing, though, and you have to. What I was thinking about is, it was I think it was 3 days ago. We did. What was it, Dr. Horrible? Or?
No, we were trying to do Dr. Miserable.
Dr. Miserable, yeah.
But no, we didn't get that. Instead, we got the first bag achievement.
Dr. Fantastic.
Dr. Fantastic.
Yeah, on Big Oil, which is the job where you steal a prototype fusion engine for a corrupt politician.
Okay, that was my first. Well, a lot of the missions that we did that night, it was the first time I'd ever run any of them.
Oh, really?
So yeah, that was the first time I had run that. I forget what we did before that. I think it was the first time I'd ever run that.
Was it Watch Dogs or Firestarter?
No, Watch Dogs and Firestarter I've done a million times.
Okay.
Because the go-to is Diamond Store, Firestarter, Diamond Store,
Rats,
Diamond
Store,
yeah.
Watch Dogs. The golden rotation to level up as quickly as possible.
But
I miss the days of just blowing the lab and rats.
Yeah. David Goldfarb put an end to that.
Thanks, bro.
With the higher level, if they do a 7th tier, do you think in the secret stuff they might be adding more heist that could possibly be more difficult? Because with this added skill, it would make, I feel like it would make the current
it would make the loud
heist
operators even louder.
Exactly.
Now, I think the one thing I'm definitely banking on is if they do a skill tree increase and they raise the level cap and everything, it's probably going to be similar to what they did in the first game. Right now, the highest difficulty is Death Wish.
Yes.
When Death Wish first came out in February, it was tempered a little bit by the fact it was incredibly difficult when it first came out. It was really, really hard, but the difficulty's been tempered a little bit by some of the content releases since then. The one thing that definitely makes it easier is they released a 50 caliber sniper rifle.
Yeah.
Which basically takes out some of the hardest enemies in the game.
Well, that's why.
In like 2 shots.
What is that? The
What, the Thanatos?
The Thanatos, the Death Wish cannon, basically.
The Thanos?
So, man, something like that.
Whatever.
Lavos? No, I'm sorry. I'm doing the wrong game here.
I don't even know who I am anymore.
I'm completely lost. We might as well just stop right now.
We might. Goodbye, everybody.
But no, I think one thing that's definitely going to come if the skill tree overhaul happens soon is there's definitely going to have to be a new difficulty involved. I'm wondering if they'll use the nomenclature
They're bringing
used
it
in the
back.
first game.
Don't call it a comeback.
Overkill 145.
Don't call it a comeback.
I know. It's been here for years.
Don't call it a comeback.
I'm gonna call it.
Don't do it.
A resurgence.
Butthurt.
Okay.
I want butthurt.
A revengeance.
The revengeance.
But the other thing.
No, go ahead.
Okay. The other thing I was actually going to say on my other wish list for this whole thing is I want a new heist, which I don't know whether that's going to happen because it's probably going to be about another month down the line. The other thing I want more infamy tiers.
Yeah, they definitely need to fill out the infamy because they said it was going to go up to more.
Infamy level 14. I mean, we have another two full sets of 4 levels to go through, and then we have the final level.
I'm infamy level 0.
I'm infamy level 5, level 100.
Soon I'll be level 2, in like a million years.
Yep.
I'm infamy 1, level 91, and if I keep my current pace of playing, I might get there next year.
Yeah.
Just
in
time for
Storm.
Storm.
Fest 2.
Electric Boogaloo?
Electric Boogaloo.
Now with more crime.
Now with even more bullets and more death. That's what everybody wants.
But that's the other thing I could definitely say is on my wish list because you get to that point where you've leveled up all the way, you're at that plateau, and there's always bigger things to steal.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of just grinding for cash.
I want to steal an airplane.
Let's do that. Hijack.
What if we stole
Like-
Air Force One?
Like you have to get, but it has to be like some like Air Force One. Somehow you found somebody who's going to somehow take Air Force One.
What if
That
we stole
does-
the Ark of the Covenant
Well,
from the Indiana Jones place? Yes.
game does take place
This
in Washington, D.C. It would make perfect
brilliant.
sense.
It prints its own money.
What if they stole a money printing machine?
We already did that.
We did? Oh, yeah.
Payday the heist, man. Stole the plates and counterfeit.
I never got that far. I didn't
Wait, it's the only one you played on the first game and you didn't get that far? You
finish
didn't
it.
beat the level?
Did you not listen to the beginning of the story?
I never
where
listened to you. I thought there were only 2 of us.
I said from the start that the people I was playing with had to be as new to the game as I was, because it ended horribly.
I'm gonna be perfectly honest, Pat. I'm right there with you. I'm blacked out. I'm probably not gonna remember any of this.
I don't even know who I am anymore.
You know what? The hell with this. I'm done. This thing's over. I'm done with these
No,
guys.
Frank, but we need you.
Dungeon Brawlers is over.
Frank, this is take 2. We saw what happened when I tried to host the last time.
This is Ian and Pat Brawlers. I'm done. No, I'm done.
I think our ratings just went up.
Oh my God.
Yes.
It's finally happening. Who says you can't make it on your own, Pat?
My parents told me that, but, I guess I proved them. So anyway, Payday.
Hear all that silence when I'm not around?
I know. Frank is the driving force behind this entire show. Which is weird.
Which is weird because Frank's an asshole.
Because he's so ugly. He should probably put a mask on.
He's so ugly he needs a mask when he's doing radio.
An Eddie mask.
He's so ugly.
Get on it, people. Twitter.
We're doing it again.
Facebook. MySpace. Get on your GeoCities account.
God.
I don't care. We're going to make it happen. Indiegogo campaign.
So, Frank, where are we going from here? What do you got for us?
So, one of the things I want to announce to the people is with this, we're going to have a little bit of a thing that's going to be going through our Twitter and through our Facebook, at Dungeon Brawlers, or you could go to facebook.com/Dungeon Brawlers. And Pat just, as we are doing this podcast, Pat just posted on the Dungeon Brawlers Twitter, make an Eddie mask or something. I don't know.
IDFK.
But what we're going to do is we're going to set up basically we're going to do a giveaway of sorts, where we're going to be giving away copies of Payday 2.
Yes.
And you're going to have the opportunity to play with the loud operators.
Learn the game a little bit. Have some fun. The only prerequisite is you need to wear your heaviest armor, and we're kicking you if there's any silencers on any of your guns.
That's right, Ian. We're going to invite them to play with the loud operators. Come with us and shoot up all the levels.
Every single one. It'll be Swiss cheese.
And remember, bring an ammo bag.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Ammo bags are essential.
Ammo bags, medic bags, C4.
If you do it the way we do the bank heist, where 3 people bring saws, you need as much ammo as possible.
Yeah, that was absolutely incredible. We still need to get that 7-minute mark.
We're going to go for it. And there's the other thing that we're going to announce. We're going to be announcing on our Facebook and Twitter. We're going to set up a day, and we're going to do a stream of Payday 2 as well, where we're going to take your requests as to what heist we do and what difficulty.
That's right, Frank.
That's going to be intense. It's going to be ridiculous. It's Sneezy,
DZ,
Nick, Deluxe. And that's where it goes.
Guys, the thermal door. Go get it.
The thermal door.
But we'll have more details about that as this goes on. Like I said, we're still formulating how we're going to do this because the anniversary is coming up, and I don't know. This is a few days before the ball really gets rolling on all this stuff.
Till the ball starts dropping.
Yeah, this is August 13th, obviously, is the day that you're going to hear this, but we're filming it quite a bit in advance because I will be away at the time that this actually, no, I won't. What am I fucking talking about? I don't even know what I'm talking about.
I hope you're away.
I think I'm done. I don't have any more to contribute to this fucking podcast.
So, Ian, lead
on. The thermal door. The thermal drill. Go get it.
So let me ask you guys this now. I'll actually take the floor for a little bit.
All
because
right.
I have a rant that I'd like to go on.
Uh-oh.
But aside from everything we've talked about already, what would you say is your least favorite part of Payday 2, and how could Overkill improve it?
My least favorite part of Payday 2 is Pat, and the best way to fix it is to just take the game from him and never let him have it again.
Okay, barring that.
Barring that Pat can't play Pat can play the game. Okay, I have to think.
You love me.
I have to think about it first.
You have to think about if you love me?
Yes, I do. I have to think about my answer for a second, so I'll go to Pat or you.
Ian, what do you got?
What I have is, honestly, the one thing that I feel like Overkill needs to implement is we need proper anti-cheat on the game.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's becoming a bigger and bigger
It's
problem.
becoming a huge issue, and I understand the technical limitations of it and everything. I understand that I'm the last person you want to talk to about like coding and everything, but I understand that there's some engine limitations. It's done peer to peer, so there's an issue with that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, basically anyone running trainers or anyone running any kind of scripts, because the game's coded in. I think the events are coded in LUA.
It's all coded in
I know.
Python.
Okay, yeah. It uses the Diesel engine, uses LUA scripting. Basically, people could just modify the game any way they want. And what it's bleeding into now is it's bleeding into like people are coming into online co-op games and they're messing with people.
Yeah.
They're completely changing the way the game plays. They're basically making people insta-fail the game that they're playing.
Really?
Yeah, there are ways to do that. Yeah, you can actually basically make it so that everyone's just dead right away and the game ends.
What's the purpose?
The thing is,
just to troll people? Is that the only,
There's a trolling aspect to it. And the other thing, too, is, and it's bizarre because being on the Steam forums, just to double check, like, news and everything, see what people's theories are about, like, all these events that are going on throughout, like, the lifespan of the game, you always see the topic about people talking about hacking and why they're hacking. And the weird thing is, there's almost like there is that God complex aspect to it. There was one guy.
You're the best player, and you don't want to let the cheaters take over. Or?
Yeah, exactly. But now, one topic I saw that was interesting was a guy talking about how like he hacks, but he only hacks for good. He's the Batman of hacking.
He's the
thank
Robin
you so
Hood
much,
of hacking,
Mr. Cheater Man.
Where he.
I'm glad you've blessed me with your decision.
Yeah, exactly. And he talks about how like, I only give people money or I give people levels and skills. It's like. At the end of the day, what it boils down to is like,
why'd you buy the game?
Yeah, exactly. Well, first off, why did you buy the game if all you're going to do is cheat? And second off, in a cooperative game, why are you jumping into these games making decisions for other people?
Yeah,
why are you
you're eliminating the cooperative aspect of the game, which is one of the best, which is personally one of my favorite reasons to play that game.
Exactly.
Because if everybody is not in sync, your mission is going to shit. No questions asked. It's going to shit.
And there's so few quality co-op games out there that this is kind of hurting the community as a whole. One thing that I don't enjoy at all, that I take actually kind of personally, is the fact that people who are hacking, typically they just raise themselves to the highest level in the game. They give themselves, there's a mask that you can earn to wear on heists for completing all the heists on the hardest difficulty.
On Death Wish.
Yep. Death Wish. But these hackers will give themselves highest level. They'll give themselves this mask. So all of a sudden, when all that content came out, earning that mask and earning my level, all of a sudden became like it put a target on my back.
Yeah,
it's a mark of suspicion.
Exactly. It's a reason for people to start prying into my Steam profile, and now there's the option, a third party created the Payday 2 stats page. There are people actually interrogating me in-game about my credentials to play the game. And on top of it, too, it drives me nuts when it's like I help a group. Like I bring things that the other crew members don't have, or I help them through a harder difficulty. And then I have people sitting there going, well, like, you didn't do this mission on this difficulty, so technically, like, you didn't really earn that thing that you have. And it just drives me crazy. And to all the hackers out there who think that they're allowed to do whatever they want,
fuck you.
It's that weird hacker ethos of, like, well, it's open source software, and I've paid for it, and I can modify it any way you want to. It's like, no shit, dude. That's great that you paid for the game. I paid for the game too.
Yeah, it's like they're allowed to do it. It's kind of a free speech thing where like you're allowed to do that legally, but that doesn't mean you're not an asshole.
Exactly, and it doesn't. It's one of those things.
It's not
where
freedom from consequence.
My whole thing is, I feel like even if they don't want to get rid of hacking altogether, if there's a way that they could do it to where it's similar in style to what the game Rust does. Rust, there's all these different mods and hacks into the game.
Yeah.
And when people set up servers, it tells you modified server, and it tells you what if you want to use these hacks, and you want to find players that are similar to you with using that type of style. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm fine with you playing with the same type of people. But for you to jump into my game when me and my friends are trying to do it our way, it sullies the entire experience.
Exactly. And it sucks too, because honestly, I've had a great time playing. I've picked up a lot of good friends playing this game. I think my friends list ballooned by like 3 or 4 times its size.
I didn't get any friends.
Really?
I got 2.
Well, that's 'cause you're
No, I got
antisocial.
1. I got 1. I got Dar.
I deserve friends.
Okay. Well, you can play with all my friends now.
But
I want my own.
I think, now that I've had a little bit of time to think about it, I think my gripe would probably be with the matchmaking.
Okay.
Because a lot of times, you'll be running a game and you want people around the same level, and sometimes it'll throw a guy who's a level 20 with you. So I understand that they're learning the ropes and stuff like that, and I have nothing against, trying to help them how I can. But when you're trying to do a mission on Death Wish, it makes it extremely difficult for you to get anything done with a guy who's unaware of what to do.
There are actually ways to set.
There's a reputation filter, but I don't think they have an infamy filter.
They don't have. That's the other problem too, is they don't have a filter set up for infamy. The bar to join a Death Wish game, the hardest difficulty, is 80. But as soon as you hit infamy, you can basically do whatever you want. Like as soon as infamy is basically the Payday 2 version of Prestige, where you trade in your level and start over again for little perks and stuff. But yeah, once you hit Infamy 1, it's like you could basically be a level 0 and join the hardest difficulty.
Yeah.
Which, in and of itself, people who know the game shouldn't be doing that, because you need to have the equipment and the skills to actually deal with what's going to be thrown at you.
Absolutely.
Okay, I guess it comes to me then.
Yep.
Because I've got a couple, but I got to go with one. So I'm going to go with the card drop system. I think it's a crappy way to get items. God. Because, if you've played a million heists or you've done Jewelry Store a billion times, then you probably have the things. But if you don't, then you have a very small, infinitesimal chance of getting the items you want.
Here's my thing. I've probably got close to 100 hours now on the PC version. I originally had it for the Xbox, which was a giant mistake. But let's not even go into that. But I have about 100 hours on it. I've gotten 3 masks. 3. In 100 hours, I've gotten 3 masks, and that annoys the shit out of me. I'll be like, oh, look at that. I got cash again.
Well, they've kind of started shifting, because it used to, or it's always been like in the cards, you can get a mask part, a mod for your gun, a cash card, or an experience card. And cash cards and experience cards have always been shit.
That's what I always
You might as well get nothing.
It needs to be scaled to either the difficulty you played the heist on.
A percentage boost, like an extra 10% experience or something.
Especially now that the boost system is in place. That would be an amazing way to fix the cash in the
But there's
the
2
XP
useless
cards.
kinds of cards. The masks are still useful, and the patterns and materials are still useful. But the gun mods, they've kind of shifted away from getting those in the card drops, because now you use the gauge packs to get them, or you unlock achievements to get them.
Yeah.
So, what's the point? It kind of feels like an antiquated system.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I agree.
The one thing I would love to see, and Pat, do you have any suggestions on how that could be fixed? I don't want to steal the limelight.
No, I don't have any suggestions. It sounds like you got something a little more thought out.
One thing that definitely needs to be done is there needs to be a way to use either your the way the game's cash system is set up is you get a certain amount of offshore money, which is hidden in like an offshore account, and then you have on-hand spending cash.
Yeah.
The offshore is used for gaining infamy levels. You have to pay 200 million every time you infamy, which is not a small sum of money by any stretch of the imagination. And then the spending cash is everything else you do.
Right.
If you're customizing a mask, if you're buying a
skills.
gun and stuff like that.
Don't you use the offshore cash if you're going to buy certain
Contracts, yeah.
contracts?
Oh yeah,
too?
you
If
can.
you're gonna do a
That's right.
certain
That's
level,
right.
you can use it. But
How did I forget that?
When you got to get that much to infamy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts becoming counterproductive to constantly buy contracts.
Yeah.
And the other thing you can use the offshore for as well is every time there's an event, which hopefully will be coming up, they introduce the offshore payday, where you basically pay to play the card drop game over and over and over again. Now, the one thing that they need to do is they need to implement some kind of a system in place where all of the items in the game are assigned like a straight cash value. Like, even if you made, like, say, the rarest stuff for the masks, like there's a gold material that makes the mask solid gold. Mm-hmm. Even if you attached a ludicrous price to that, like 300 million offshore, 400 million offshore, that needs to be in there. And on top of that, too, the only issue is until there's actual anti-cheat involved, it would be really difficult to regulate player trading.
Yeah, that's
which is
true.
a shame, because it would be amazing to be able to trade things. But at the same time, while it's lawless out there,
trade masks. I would be trading masks.
I'll trade you my Eddie mask.
I will give you Frank. Honestly,
Eddie mask. Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, GeoCities.
I will give you one copy of every mask I have, and then I will still have 20 left over.
You bastard! But I've got another one to throw out there.
Okay.
A little bit of a gripe. I would like to see them change the experience payouts and the cash payouts on all the heists, because as we mentioned earlier, if you really want to gain levels, if you want to get serious about it, you're going to play Diamond Store and Stealth it for the 30% experience boost, and then you're going to do Rats, and then you're going to do the Diamond Store again, and you're going to do Firestarter, and you're going to do the Diamond Store again, and you're gonna play Watchdogs.
Yeah. You could even
do the only ones you're going to play.
You can do Jewelry Store too, right? And
the funny thing is, actually, if you run for those not literate in the Payday speak, they implemented Overkill implemented a system where certain heists have stealth bonuses attached to them, where if you complete your perfect heist, because there is the option in Payday 2 now to just go completely stealth and actually pull off. I have absolutely no clue why.
I have no clue why this was added to the game.
Waste of time.
Huge waste of time.
But it implements an experience bonus for the next heist that you run. So you've got that going for you. And on top of that, too, they were trying to get people to diversify what they were playing. So basically, if you, say, play a certain number of certain other heists, you may get like an intrinsic like 20% bonus on one heist and then like a 50% bonus on the other. But what it's turned into is basically there's a basically what's called the golden rotation of just constantly running the same series of heists over and over again to stop you from getting negative XP boosts and maximize your stealth bonus each time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't feel like we're incentivized to play like Go Bank or Big Oil or
any of the transport heists.
Nobody plays the train heist.
Yeah, none of the
nobody plays the train heist.
I don't think I ever have.
No, well, it was a thing where the armored transport came out, and if you sawed your way into an armored transport, there was a chance you would find the plans. The plans. It's vague.
The plans.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, it's a heist movie. You know, we found the plans. Now we can proceed. But
now we can proceed with our grand master plan.
But no, you could steal a like an experimental turret and like 40 bags of ammo for it from a train. And it's pretty much impossible if you don't heist it, because when you carry that ammo, you can't throw it or it'll explode.
Good start.
Basically, that's the one rule.
That's the rule.
If you don't throw it at your feet, it explodes.
And it's a huge map. Like, you clearly have to stealth it, and with the changes in stealth, it's broken. So there's no reason to play it.
It's impossible to do.
It's impossible.
Or
there's
next
no
to
reason to
impossible.
do it.
So there it is. I think we've pretty much, given both sides of the spectrum here. Obviously, we show our love for a game like Payday, but we also all have at least little things to nitpick at that, maybe the community has some agreements or disagreements.
I kind of run on nitpicks, so
yeah,
you do
on a healthy diet of nitpicks.
You're a nitpick engine.
But the question is, leave comments down below in the comment. Let us know things. Maybe there's things that we're missing that even we might agree with you that these are, broken pieces of the game that we may have forgotten about.
What do you love? What do you hate? And more importantly,
Eddie Mask.
Vlad is absolutely nuts.
So we hope you enjoyed our special edition Payday extravaganza podcast thing.
I know Ian did.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. I spent probably 9/10 of the time talking. Like I have the last 12 months of my life playing this game.
Look, now you just spent 901 hours on Payday 2.
That is true.
I love Payday and Payday culture.
Gabe, I need to contact you. We need to modify my hours played on Payday.
We're just gonna,
I'll just leave it idle for an hour.
just tweak it. But what we're gonna do is, as you know, this is not the normal day for the podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, you could always check it out on Mondays. We have the Dungeon Brawlers podcast every single week.
Every week.
We
are consistent.
Single week.
If not crazy.
We're Sneezy,
DZ, Nick, Deluxe.
And next week's episode of the Dungeon Brawlers podcast, if you care to check it out, is all about
don't care.
AAA gaming. So, of course, Ian, would you do us the honors as you always do?
This concludes our broadcast day of Dungeon Brawlers Special Edition Payday. Tune in next time for another regular plain old boring edition of Dungeon Brawlers, where we will discuss AAA gaming.
The thermal drill. Go get it.